Right now, in this exact moment, your brain is lying to you. Not even consciously, but constantly. What you call seeing is not a live broadcast of the world. What you call remembering is not a replay of the past. What you call knowing is often nothing more than a story your mind has agreed to believe. And yet, you trust it completely. You always have. Because questioning your own mind feels almost impossible, like trying to see the back of your own head. This is the paradox at the center of human experience. The very instrument you use to understand reality is the same instrument distorting it. To understand why, we have to go back, not to childhood, not to trauma, but to the raw evolutionary blueprint of the brain itself. The brain was never built to perceive truth. It was built to keep you alive. Truth and survival are not the same goal, and when they conflict, survival always wins. A brain that hesitates to analyze all the evidence before reacting to a rustling bush is a brain that gets eaten. So evolution selected for speed, for pattern matching, for good enough guesses delivered in milliseconds, not for accuracy. This single fact rewires everything we assume about our own minds. Take perception, the most trusted of all mental faculties. You believe your eyes show you the world as it is. But your eyes actually send your brain a fragmented, incomplete, low-resolution stream of data, and your brain fills in the rest. Literally, there is a blind spot in your visual field right now, a gap where the optic nerve interrupts your retina, and you do not see a hole. You see a seamless picture, because your brain manufactures the missing information and hands it to you as fact. This is not a bug. This is the standard operating procedure. Every optical illusion that has ever stunned you is not a trick played on your eyes. It is proof of how your brain constructs reality rather than observes it. Now consider memory, the second great deception. We treat memory like a filing cabinet, a faithful archive of what happened. The memory is not playback, it is reconstruction. Every time you recall an event, your brain doesn't retrieve a fixed recording. It rebuilds the memory from fragments, and in doing so, subtly alters it. Emotions bleed into details. Later information merges with earlier events. Confidence in a memory has almost no correlation with its accuracy. The story you tell about your own life has been edited more times than you will ever know, and you were the editor without ever realizing you held the pen. And then there is the third layer of distortion, the one that governs not just what you see and remember, but what you believe. Confirmation bias. Once your mind forms a belief, it does not go searching for the truth. It goes searching for validation. It notices the evidence that agrees with it and quietly discards the evidence that doesn't. This is why two people can witness the same event and walk away with two entirely different, fiercely defended versions of it. Not because one is lying, but because both of their brains already decided what the truth would be before the evidence even arrived. Here is where most people stop, overwhelmed, distrustful of their own minds, convinced they are broken. But this is not a flaw. This is a feature. The brain that fools you is the same brain that has kept your ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years. It is not malfunctioning. It is functioning exactly as designed: fast, efficient, protective. The problem was never that your brain deceives you. The problem is that you never knew it was happening. And that raises the only question that matters. If your own mind is engineered to mislead you, is it possible to ever trust your own thoughts again? Or is there a way to work with this system, not against it, and reclaim control over the very machine trying to control you? Here is a strange truth. The moment you learn your brain is designed to deceive you, you gain something almost nobody else has. Not certainty, not perfect clarity, something rarer, the ability to catch the lie in the act. Most people will live their entire lives never questioning a single thought that enters their head. They will mistake every emotion for a fact, every assumption for evidence, every gut reaction for wisdom. And because everyone around them makes the same mistake, this collective blindness feels normal. It feels like sanity. But the individuals who rise above the noise, the ones who build extraordinary careers, extraordinary relationships, extraordinary lives, share one unusual habit. They interrogate their own minds. They treat their first thought not as a verdict, but as a witness that needs cross-examining. Consider the story your brain tells about you. Not the world this time, you. Every human mind constructs a running narrative of the self. Who you are, what you're capable of, why you failed, why you succeeded. But this narrator is not a neutral historian. It is a press secretary, hired to protect your self-image at almost any cost. When you succeed, the narrator credits your skill. When you fail, it blames the circumstances. This isn't dishonesty. It's psychological self-preservation. But left unchecked, this flattering inner story can quietly cement you into a version of yourself that was never fully true and was never fully examined. Then there is fear, perhaps the brain's most theatrical illusion. Your mind is a threat detection system first and a growth-seeking system second. This means it will consistently, reliably, exaggerate danger. The presentation that could change your career gets rebranded by your brain as a life-threatening event. The rejection that could redirect your path gets stored as catastrophic evidence never to repeat that risk again. Your brain isn't protecting you from actual danger anymore. It's protecting you from discomfort and disguising that discomfort as danger. This single distortion, more than any other, is what keeps brilliant, capable people small. So what changes everything? One decision: to stop treating your first thought as the final word. The most resilient minds in history were not the ones who never doubted, feared, or misjudged a situation. They were the ones who built a habit of pausing between the thought and the belief, who asked, "Is this true, or is this just familiar? Is this danger, or is this discomfort? Is this memory, or is this the story I've told so many times I now call it memory?" This is not about becoming a cynic who trusts nothing. It is about becoming a director instead of an audience member, someone who watches the mind perform its tricks, recognizes the sleight of hand, and chooses, deliberately, what to believe and act on. The practice is almost embarrassingly simple. Pause, question, verify, before a reaction becomes a decision, before an assumption becomes an identity, before a fear becomes a wall. Stop for one breath and ask what's actually true. That single pause is where freedom lives. Because here's the final truth beneath everything we've uncovered. You are not your first thought. You are not your rawest fear. You are not the flattering or damning story your mind tells about who you are. You are the one part of this entire system capable of noticing the illusion. And the moment you notice it, you are no longer controlled by it. Your brain will keep trying to fool you. That will never stop. It's not built to stop. But you're disciplined to question it? That is entirely yours to build. So here's the question worth sitting with tonight. The next time your mind hands you a fact, a fear, a memory, a belief about yourself, will you accept it without question? Or will you finally ask if it's actually true?